Survivors ready? Go! Welcome back to On the Raritan. I'm your host, Matt DeGennaro. I'm joined here with Logan. Logan, say hi.
What's up, everybody?
And in today's episode, we are joined right at the start with two special guests, the creators of Rutgers Survivor, Adam Chopper and Peter Slattery. How's it going, guys?
It's a pleasure to be back, Matt. Logan, great to see you too, Peter. As always, it's always fun to talk about something that me and Peter created in our room at Rutgers just a couple years ago now, over free, which is insane. But to see everything progress, and we'll get into it. But I'm glad to be back as always.
Yeah, it's honestly it's surreal, but I'm very honored and humbled to be, invited back as a guest after, being the host of the podcast for season one. It's great to see you guys continuing, our plight, our journey, and finishing out the show for season two. And we're excited. We're excited to get talking and just talk about this because we love this club so much. So
Yeah, so thank you guys so much for being able to join us today. Unfortunately, Kevin cannot make it today. So the format of this podcast is going to be a little bit different. Typically, we bring the guests on in the second half, but this time, the episode's pretty straightforward. We'll talk about it a little bit, and Adam and Peter were there. So from what they can remember almost about a year ago, let's say, we'll
yeah.
give some insights to that. But other than that, we're just going to have a really fun pod today. We're going to have a really fun pod. And the last episode was titled Sorry, Adam Tropper. So, Adam, I saw you post on Instagram. What were your thoughts on that? We honored you a little bit.
That was my main thought on it. There was a nice little callback, which is always appreciated. But I think we all know where this is going, and I'll be one to say spoilers for who's ever listening to this. But sorry, Adam Schropper really did apply, and I was there, and you could see how it played out with a certain person who just so happened to be a member of the Trapper Tribe, the last person from the Trapper Tribe going home. So maybe a little bit of the ego crusher, but thanks for naming the episode after me.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, the Slattery tribe dominance finally did their final move, got rid of all the Troppers, and from that point forward, we knew the winner would be a Slattery. However, I have to ask, out of the final three, was one of them originally Tropper and they switched, or are they all like pure Slattery from the
All
beginning?
OG slattery.
Oh, that's even better, Adam. I'm sorry, man. Me and him, like being such close friends, we would call each other when they would, start the shoots like around episode one or two. They would tell us, and we'd be like, "Who do you think's gonna win, Slattery, Trapper, Slattery, Trapper?"
It honestly just became a mini bet between me and Peter. Like, come on,
Yeah,
who has a better chance?
I
but
think we
Yeah.
mentioned this before, but there's a statistic in this season. Every time a member of the Tropper tribe could go home, a member of the Tropper tribe did go home.
that's statistics I like. That's statistics
Yeah.
I like.
Omar won at the
Like that
final
stat.
five, the immunity. So that's when Jaden went home, and then Jake went home when both tribes went to tribal council.
If
And
anyone from the
sucks.
Trump tribe is listening, that hurts.
Yeah, we're sorry for the very quick decimation of the Tropper tribe, Adam. Considering that it was tribes of five, right? And
Mhm.
we go into what was it? We go into now we're at three, and we're left with three. Damn, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm trying to do the math in my head. That sucks. I'm
Hey, you
so
know what?
sorry.
It is what it is. Like I said, you know what? I'll take an episode being named after me. I'll take a tribe being named after me. Once again, it's all the way I see it. Everything just circles back to how the club has grown. And we're talking season two. Season three has already finished production as of the
yeah,
time we've done this. Maybe a little spoiler in real life there. Who knows? But all I'm saying is to see how you guys have managed to run the club last year too, alongside Max and Kevin, and just everything, how it's grown, how the dedication is there. I will say that over and over again, Matt. I am so proud to see, like I said, this little creation that came out of me and Peter's room at college turn into this.
Hmm.
yeah. And I do have to say, as great as it is that the Slatteries made it to the final three, a lot of people in the Trapper tribe, you guys were great players. Like, all around. I'm sure the game was fun, the game was enjoyable. I was rooting for a couple people on the Trapper tribe actually, but the Slattery tribe domination just. I'm so happy that worked out. And I couldn't agree more with Adam. Just seeing this was the first season, that me and Adam were not spearheading it in any way, shape, or form. We had no influence on practically anything. We basically would just call Matt or Kevin after the shoot and be like, "Hey, how'd things go?" So just seeing that and seeing it run smoothly, and yeah, it was just great to see.
And a little bit of a little insight into season 3 real quick, naming tribes after people. For quite literally 1 minute, and I literally mean 1 minute, the tribe names were Hutton, Ruben, and then one of me or Kevin's last name. But
Yeah.
the other e-board members shut that down very quickly. So we couldn't do that, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
So
at least
sad.
you guys get to end the tradition, I guess. But
Yeah,
we wanted to honor you.
we were very honored and humbled that you guys decided to do that. And I don't know if you mentioned this in earlier podcasts, but how originally there were going to be 3 tribes for season 3, and one of them was Ruben. But
Mhm.
due to some like last minute cuts and crazy circumstances, you had to go down to 2, and you'd pick Slattery Chopper. So that's awesome. And also, if you cut one of us, we would not, the other one would never have heard the end of it. Like, how's the
That's the biggest
Ruben
part.
and Chopper tribe doing? Like that would be funny. But
You guys would have caused World War III on that one.
yeah, but where was I going? Yeah, just like overall, I think it's good that you're moving to more like whether you branch out into building names or campus names or themes specifically. Like I'm always hinting at Battle of the Majors or Battle of the Campuses. Like that would be awesome. Like something
Look
like
at
that.
Peter
Like,
trying to
really play
influence
into it.
season 4.
Mhm. Hey, I'm just saying. I'm just throwing out ideas. I'm just throwing
We
out.
have a preliminary idea of what we think, or at least my ideal season 4. I'm not going to reveal it. I think I
Mhm.
might have mentioned it to you guys. It might be a hard elevator pitch, but I have an idea of what I would like season 4 to be. But I'll keep that in mind, Peter, for sure. But to get the pod kind of going, so Logan definitely said it, but I'll just flat out spoilers as well. Jaden goes at Final Five, and then Omar goes at Final Four. The episodes are very straightforward. The trio kind of dominates in every aspect. I know had Omar not won that Final Five immunity, we would have saw a big play made by Faith, as she's describing. She would have blindsided Omar, but also blindside Kyle in the process to differentiate her game from his. But we obviously know that doesn't happen. And then we see the safety without power twist that was introduced by Peter in the second half of the episode. So now this is why we brought you guys on, because you guys were there
Yeah.
to witness the episode. So let's start with Peter first, because you got to kind of step back into the host role a little bit, if you want to call it that. So what was it like seeing, like the Final Four in front of you, but this time, like you're from the outside looking in, and I'm the new host, right? Tell me that. What was it like? How did that feel for you?
Yeah, I keep saying surreal, but honestly, that's the only word that I can use to keep describing the experience because, like I said, me and Adam being in charge of it, having all that responsibility, that puts like a set of like emotions on you. But being there casually, like sitting in the back corner, just watching all the craziness, the madness, the strategy talks unfold, that's really like the most interesting part. But yeah, for me too, I think it was just so fun, and I remember just having to keep stopping myself from smiling knowing that I was about to drop an absolute bombshell on every single one of their plans. Because according to you, Matt, and I think Kevin or Logan might have told me, like they all assumed it was a final 3, or
Yeah.
like, and if they did think it was a final 2, they were probably like, nah, they wouldn't do that. But the way how they were probably thinking there was a twist for Final Four because we did twist to Final Four, but Final 2 was not in their playbooks, and you can definitely see that on their faces. And I think that shaped the end of the season, which hopefully all these guys will get to see soon.
hmm Yeah, Adam. I know you weren't necessarily in that scene, but do you want to maybe touch on that as well, like watching from the outside and finally getting to see like the club no longer in your hands, but like at the tail end of a brand new season?
Yeah, I mean, it was bittersweet to say the least because I think you guys can imagine me and Peter were also side-eyeing each other like, oh, this is what we would not exactly that there would be many differences, but it's kind of like, we still felt like at the time that we need to have a say in every little thing. So it was honestly a good step in terms of letting go to kind of the baby of the club, I guess. But it was just really cool. And to see, yeah, the twist and everything. I mean, in all honesty, just looking from a pure surface level, to see their shock, that's just told me they're having fun playing the game. And it's going to be a really cool end game. We saw one of the rounds. We saw it go down to the final 3 eventually. But we still don't know what's going to happen. So it's just a lot of mixed emotions, but really cool to be able to see kind of another season continuing to play out in its own form.
And yeah, and like you said, kind of like trying to let it go, whether it being your baby. Like I still go to you guys asking like your advice, like should we do this, should we do that? Like it's your baby, but like I view you as like the gods, like the survivor gods. Like you guys are all knowing, and no spoilers here, but Peter and Adam were actually at our season 3 finale. We have finished our third
By
season of
happenstance,
Rutgers Survivor.
by
In our defense, they filmed on the same day of the Super Bowl. I'm
we
saying that
weren't
now.
begging him, Matt, please, please let us come to the shoot. We need to be there. No, no, no. It was just
We have lives to an extent.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Super Bowl. And we were like, you know, why not? Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, it was Super Bowl Sunday, but there was something that happened on the finale that I went to both of you and I asked for your opinions on. We won't say what it was, obviously, but I know I'm sure you guys remember it. Like we value your opinion, me especially. Like you guys are the creators. You're above all. Sorry for the glaze, but like we would not be here without you. Like this pod was your
Exactly.
pod. This club was your club. I'm so glad you guys just get to be here and that we can just have fun
That
with
means
this
everything to
episode.
me, and I mean it's so hard to downplay that when you just amplified my ego to a billion.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, yes, it's much appreciated. You guys still keep in contact with us and keep us posted. But I've said this to you a million times off camera, Matt, too. Just seeing like you, especially take over now into that presidential role, and even season 2 when Logan, you were still at Rutgers, and just you guys taking it over in general. It was so cool to see. And I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but call me the creator, call me whatever, but just to see it passed down and have that longevity is the craziest part to me, and that's because of you guys. We did not contribute to that longevity. I was at Columbia for the entire time season 2, and most of season 3 was going. Peter was working full-time jobs, so like we had our lives. I don't want to say we moved on completely because otherwise we wouldn't be having this conversation, but we were we were moving on a little bit. But you guys roped us back in a little, but you guys did a great job on your own, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I just have to say too, Adam, I find it absolutely hilarious that Matt is like, you guys are all knowing and all that. Like, dude, going back to that first interest meeting, Adam, how many of our responses to their questions was, we got no idea?
It was literally Matt, I think you were there. I don't remember if you were Logan, but yeah, I remember saying we don't know at this time. Honestly, there's a lot of hoops. We're just two guys with a dream trying to make something happen. We were trying to sell the vision, knowing damn well we had no clue how to make half of it work at the time. So it took a lot of perseverance, a lot of I think I said this on the podcast last year when it was ours, Scarlet Tape, my version of kind of hoops that you have to go through. But somehow, some way we did it, and here we are.
And the other thing I do gotta say too is really the thing that kind of takes me back or hits me the most is honestly the little things. Seeing you guys do like the traders games, for examples, and most recently I saw someone post like, you know, thank you so much Rutgers Survivor for hosting like people from Montclair. I think you did like a group thing with them. And
Yeah.
that to me is just like you guys are taking this so far beyond what me and Adam even thought. Like mini game nights are just such an ingenious idea that like I know we did the small game night, but like doing
Not
actual
like a full vote out
traders,
stuff. Yeah.
Big Brother, potentially, you know, other shows like Amazing Race or whatever. Like all this stuff is just it's so unique and it's such a good experience for like, you know, the Rutgers community as a whole to get involved. So if you're listening to this and you haven't heard of this club, please like check them out, dude. Like their games they're awesome, they're fun, they're quick little one night low commitment. Just test your social strategy skills. And like I said,
And I will say
that takes me back.
100%.
Like, wow.
Yeah, I'll say 100% most unique club on campus, because when we were registering, and this is another story from all the way before we were even affiliated as a club, I filled out most of the forms for like student clubs and stuff. Me and Peter obviously bounced everything off of each other. But when we were trying to explain it, I remember telling you this, Peter, in our room. How are we supposed to explain that it's okay for members to vote each other out of a club? Like I was really worried about that. And thankfully, the club advisor, you know, has heard of the show Survivor and understand nothing was being like deliberate or anything crazy. But just the little things that we had to go through to even get it started, and now to see how it's grown. I mean, I truly think, and you know, I don't know if this is crazy take or not. I don't know if other students from other schools are listening to this, but I do think Rutgers Survivor could be the best. There are a bunch, but the foundation that me and Peter have laid down and what you guys have done to continue to grow it, only 3 years in, not even, I mean, the sky's the limit.
Yeah. I think you guys, you're well on your way to be a top contender. And I won't be surprised, in 2 or 3 years if you get some, like incoming freshmen saying, I watched you guys on YouTube. I want to be part of a Survivor club. I chose Rutgers for this reason. I would not be surprised if someone comes up and says that. So you have a lot of momentum and you're going in the right direction, I think.
Love the promo, but you guys are right.
Absolutely.
I think we're up there. No bias at all. I think we're definitely up there with the season turnouts. How fast we post them after like some colleges you're waiting like years, right? And
That was the
that's
biggest thing me and Peter
yeah,
wanted to emphasize. I
Yeah.
mean, we knew it was going to be a tall task to say the least, but between when we filmed the season 1 finale to when we aired the season 1 finale, I believe was just under a year. Like literally, like it was close, like 11 months, don't get me wrong. But 11 months, while you guys are still students and can kind of watch and still remember what's going on compared to 6 years, I'd say that's a start and a good factor to kind of give us a little bit of momentum, positive perception, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Just like
100%.
thinking of people like Joe, and I'm sure even you too, Logan, although you weren't a senior at the time, like being able to see like just your efforts materialize into an actual published video while you're still a student must have felt pretty cool. Like, I mean, just you're on TV practically. Like that's just it was so cool, especially because I know Joe was our only senior. Like he got to see himself on a YouTube video before he graduated, and that was just like
Exactly.
just so cool.
That's the other thing too. I mentioned from finale to finale. If we're talking from when we finished producing the game to the very first episode we ever aired, we had that ready a couple weeks. I believe it was the month after we finished in February 24, which is crazy that we're 2 years post-production of season 1 already. But March 24 was when we aired the premiere, I believe. At least I'm right here.
Yeah, it's like March
Because there's-
20 something.
yeah, I don't remember.
It was
Yeah,
it was around
yeah.
spring break, I think.
And I do got to say, Matt, one of the greatest feelings in the world after you guys finished the season 3, producing that finale, was just seeing all the contestants, talk and mingle with each other, and just seeing the interest that like so many people were like, yes, I want to be a part of eBoard. Like all these like new faces who last year barely knew the club existed are now like, no, I want to be a long-term person in this club and help build it even more. So I think Adam, I know while we were making it, we're talking all about longevity. I really do think that the cornerstone's already been set and they're really just expanding from here. Like the
100%.
action and the people they'll get is unimaginable. So,
and I said this to you guys right before we, well, I've said it to Peter, maybe I hinted at it before we started recording here, but that going to that season 3 finale, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but from my personal take, that was a lot of closure, I think, because I mean, even though both myself and Peter were only in one scene for the episode that we should probably be talking about more, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Well, I just have to say that felt at that time it was like we still want to be there. Like I was still in my first, like just after my first semester at Columbia. Now I feel like also time also helps, admittedly, but seeing that there's technically been more seasons that have been produced without me and Peter than with us, and seeing how self-sustaining, how many people showed up, even from a crew perspective, to help for the finale, like seeing everything so self-sustaining with me and Peter literally not having to do anything if we didn't want to. It was surreal, and just to see that growth, see that passion from everyone in the room at the time is a very rare thing, I think, especially for a student club, and once again something that I'm insanely humbled to see.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah.
Yeah, I did. Oh, so I just want to say for season 2, I was going to say I had something interesting that just popped in my head, but I will say, Matt and Logan, you were there for episode 6 when the camera crew was me and Adam. So like just to go from that to what it is now for season 3, what you guys had is incredible. But yeah, I just getting in the mood for season 2 and just like seeing everything. I was curious for Adam. I mean, were you rooting for somebody at that point, like at the finale that we were at? I mean, I guess obviously you were rooting for the Tropper, but
The lone
I mean,
Tropper.
out of the 3 who made it out of that episode, who was your kind of like pick to win? And I guess Matt and Logan, if you want to. I'm sorry, I know I'm not the host anymore, but it's just like this is kind of like just popped into my mind. So I'm just curious.
I'll be perfectly honest. Yes, I wanted the Tropper to make it as far as possible, but once we saw the final 3, I'll be honest, I had no reference point for any of this at the time. So I was kind of just picking based off of what I saw that day. The few, not even conversations I had, but I did help pick up the camera a few times, some confessionals. I was going off the vibes. And I'll be honest, I would say Kyle, one of the new members of the e-board. But at the time I was going into the final three, I'm thinking to myself, Kyle Kent. And I know Matt hates this. He's already shaking his head. I don't know. I just got that vibe where Kyle was a front runner. Was I correct? You'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I will not spoil anything, but I'm sorry, the Glaze train will not stop. From what I heard, what Kyle
Big
did
Brother's
previously this
over,
season,
Peter. Big Brother is over.
the backstab with the idol move, saying he'll give it to someone, just absolutely brutal Russell style gameplay, and just seeing him evolve the game, because Rutgers Survivor season 1 was very, friends, like we'll work as a team together, alliance. Kyle, from my perspective, was out there, making moves, backstabbing people, lying in front of people's faces, and honestly, I was rooting for him. I'm like, Kyle, you better win this. That was
you guys couldn't put him on the Trapper Tribe? Like, come on.
No, even with our 3-tribe original format, I believe he was always a slattery.
Always.
But yeah, I think I was on the anyone but Kyle train at that point. No, I'm just kidding. I love you, Kyle. I'd wanted just anyone not in the trio at that point, just because they were running the game so much, and we've seen it. And like you guys now know, if you watch the episode, they made the final 3. Who will be the final 2? You're gonna have to watch and find out, as Adam said. But really, like, was cheering for Jade and cheering for Omar, just anything different. That's all we were looking for, and we didn't get that, unfortunately. But the finale is going to be a lot of fun. You guys are going to have to wait and find out. Logan, what about you?
No, I'm in a similar boat to you, Matt. I'm team good TV always, especially for Rutgers Survivor. And I know we were waiting for someone to make a move against this power trio that's been running the game. But I will say, this is the best season that we could have chosen to be a final 2. And we chose it before any results. This
Exactly.
One of the first decisions we made when we were planning the season was to make this one a final 2. And to have this trio have to fight it out in the finale to see who gets to go to the final 2. Look, all I'll say is that it lives up to the hype. It exceeds the hype. I think it's the best part of the season, so stay tuned.
It becomes the best Rutgers Survivor episode ever. Does it top what we did for season 1? Maybe a little nostalgia bias, but would you say it's the best?
I think the finale of season 2 might be the best episode. I've got to see how it all plays out.
I think knowing how the finale plays out and all the events that lead up to it, I think I'm going to agree with Logan. Haven't seen any of the footage yet. And for those that don't know, that didn't watch the end of the episode, the finale includes the final 3 and the final tribal council. So it's another double episode, if you want to call it. We really want to get the end of the season out to you guys and out to the players, because we're done with season 3. We want to start focusing on that. But yeah, I agree. I think that the finale is going to be the best episode, and I guess you guys are going to have to wait and see for it.
Yeah, really, it's nothing even more I could say. It's just so cool. And once again, I'm sounding like a broken record here at this point, but to see everything that transpired, and even from the one shoot we were there, like, even though it was pretty obvious at that point, and I'll actually try to talk about that episode a little bit here, even though it was pretty obvious once Omar did not win immunity that he was going, there were certain points where, like, me and Peter were helping with some confessionals, and like I was helping Kevin film some of the players interacting with each other. So I had a little gauge for what was going on, and you kind of knew, but somehow, even in the moment, and this is also why I said the vibes were in favor of Kyle at this time. Kyle almost convinced me that it wasn't going to be Omar. So there was a very small percentage. I knew that fate was going to be the end of the Trapper Tribe, but there's still, even when you thought that it was going to be predictable, there was still the opportunity for chaos, and that's what I appreciate.
Yeah, and for those of you who are like there, I guess I would say, like, just being on camera crew and being behind the scenes is such a totally different, fresh perspective. Like, I almost like it better than watching the video, because you see everything live. And seeing, like, for example, season 3 finale live was crazy. And seeing this final 4 episode, me and Adam were like, is it really going to be Omar? Like, is that really, like,
it felt too easy?
So if you're there, Has to be. I'm sure Matt and the team would be like, yeah, you can sit in the background, just walk. Like it's entertainment. It's entertainment. But yeah,
Yeah,
You might need to
we
start. You might need to start giving out NDAs though. With we don't want spoiled episodes.
I mean, we technically did have live viewers for the season 3 finale.
Mhm.
You guys remember that? We had like 3 fans in the crowd.
Yes.
Yep.
I almost
Really?
forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yes. What was one of the contestants' friends decided just to show up? I imagine we were going to watch the Super Bowl after. But
Yeah.
you're right. It is possible. Anyone can show up to this club if you're a Rutgers student. And
Hmm.
once again, I know I am the most biased person in the world to make this statement, but you better come. You better show up. You better see why this is the most unique and frankly cool club on this campus. Out of 900, I believe, or that's at the time, like I registered it, it was one of like 900 student organizations.
Yeah.
I will say that it is the best.
I,
And
I
I know no
agree.
one will believe me,
Agreed.
but I will say, see for yourself then. That's my challenge.
Yeah. We do so much more. We do watch parties. We're gonna do the Amazing Race. We did Big Brother. We did 3 seasons of Traders already. We do game nights. We're planning a Who Done It game. Peter's gonna give his sales pitch in a bit, and then we do more mini seasons, 1 day games. There's so much more. Adam hit the nail on the head. We are the best club at Rutgers, and maybe the best Survivor organization in the country. I'm
And
I'm gonna.
don't forget Survivor 50 starting too. So if
That's
you're a
right.
fan of the show, if you want to talk to other people at your school that enjoy reality TV and Survivor specifically, I think you found your place. Just saying.
Mhm.
If you love the new era, you're gonna love this club.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think we all know where Peter stands on the new era now.
Yeah. Yeah, but now it's a nice group of people. Everything, yeah. Mhm.
And
Uh,
if any other colleges feel like they have a better Survivor program than Rutgers, I feel like put it to the test. Let's do a season. Rutgers versus
yeah,
Maryland, Rutgers versus somewhere else, Why
we're
not?
we're we're doing a Rutgers versus Montclair, believe it or not, in
Let's
May.
go.
Yeah, so we played the Traders with Montclair for our 3rd season. We invited them down. We had like 5 or 6 or 7 people from Montclair came down and they played Traders with us, and it was a lot of fun. And because of that relationship we have with Montclair, now we're doing a Rutgers versus Montclair season. I even think we might be filming it. It might be like a 1 episode thing. We'll just put it all together. So
Yeah.
definitely stay tuned for that. Yeah.
And you guys have built up that network very well. I mean, once again, me and Peter said that foundation, but the way you guys have continued to grow, and yeah, as Logan said, that's the challenge. Initially, I didn't want to point out necessarily the other schools. I didn't want to take a direct shot, but now that you did, Boston, Maryland, and Michigan, and I mentioned this on the season 1 podcast when me and Peter were talking extensively about how we kind of started the club and how it came to be. Those felt like the big 3 in terms of ones that released episodes over years, the ones that the ones that if you're a fan of this very bizarre subsection of Survivor, those are the 3 that you would know. And I feel like we're that 4th seed on the Mount Rushmore right now. And this is my challenge directly to them, especially Maryland and Boston. Michigan's a little bit of a drive, but Maryland and Boston. I mean, if you guys are listening, and hell, I'll compete too. If you guys put alumni in this, I will put my money where my mouth is. I want to see Rutgers become the best.
All right, so why don't we talk about the episode a little bit more? We had some fun. Now let's get back to business a little bit. So, we see the introduction of the safety without power twist. Peter did his whole little speech, lovely, by the way. But now, why don't we talk about some decision making, right? Obviously, we saw Faith ended up winning the safety without power, but now we get to actually see that unfold. Like now it's down to Kyle and Sage and Omar, where one of them gets voted out, and we see that it's Omar. But if it falls into another person's hands, we might have a totally different outcome. So why don't we go and start throwing some hypotheticals? What do you guys want to pitch at me first? Who wants to go first?
So I
Well,
think that
no,
wanna go
you go.
first?
You go.
Okay,
You-
gotcha. So I think even though it's terrible for Omar's sake that he lost this challenge,
Mhm.
it is better for him compared to if this was a regular immunity challenge. Because now he only needs to flip 1 vote to be able to stay in this game and make it to the final 3. So I guess the question is, do we think it was in either Kyle or Sage's best interest to protect Omar and take a shot at the other now that we're so close to the end?
Hmm.
I mean, it makes sense from a number standpoint, potentially, but at the same time, I mean, you guys know the dynamics better than me and Peter, but it didn't seem feasible based off of what we saw.
Yeah, I think it all just comes down to, the relationships and how strong they were, because at this point, the cast knows it's a final two. It's not a final three. So if you like, let me think. So if you are Kyle or you are Faith, for example, you have to ask yourself kind of deeply, like, yeah, Omar's the obvious vote here, but is that other person, am I guaranteed to go to final two? Is breaking my final three pack that we've held so strong up until this point worth it to secure my spot in the final two? Because maybe for someone like Kyle, bringing Omar there, Omar is not going to want to bring Sage. He would be a guaranteed slot, and that way Kyle now has a 2/3 chance of being taken to the final two. So I think it just all comes down to relationships and how that plays out.
Yeah, obviously we see what happens where Omar does get taken out, but I think if let's put this in Kyle's perspective. I think if Kyle, makes the hard decision and cuts Sage, I think that sets him up beautifully going into the finale, right? Because obviously Faith would take him, Omar would take him, and pretty much Kyle is guaranteed a spot in the final tribal council. So knowing that he took out Omar and it makes his journey to the end a little bit harder with assuming Faith would take him at this point, and who knows what Sage would do, though I think at this point in the game, leaning more towards a Sage taking Faith, it is a little bit of a gutsier decision from that perspective.
And
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
it's obviously it doesn't take into account jury, but then again, if you're in a scenario where it's Kyle, Omar, and Sage, or I guess Kyle, Omar, or Kyle, Sage, I don't know how that would have played out, how people would have voted, especially someone like Faith, who was such a key player. If she didn't end up going there, who would she vote for? Sorry,
The only
Logan.
risk I can think of is with Omar being the last member of a Chopper tribe. The most of a jury is the Chopper tribe. So I don't know how he was perceived earlier in the game. We weren't there, me and Peter, but maybe you guys can answer that. But maybe Kyle thought it was too much of a risk taking someone that potentially could have swept the jury or gotten a lot more votes.
Yeah, so Kyle did have a confessional that was about this that I wrote down. He said that he was wanted to vote out Omar here, but he was worried about Sage cutting him at the final three and bringing Faith. But the reason he said he felt like he had burned Omar so much up to this point that it wasn't a guarantee that Omar would take him to the final two anyway. He might just take Faith. And we see in this episode too, Omar decides to vote Kyle times two, even though you can't do that. And it kind of shows that bridge has been burned throughout this past few rounds. He really trusted Kyle, and Kyle kind of has not reciprocated that trust towards Omar.
Yeah. Oh, and then even with the extension of your twist, with the safety without power, remember, if it's a 1-1-1,
Exactly.
then Sage breaks that vote, right? So if
Faith.
Omar votes
The
Kyle,
Faith.
Faith in this.
Because
Oh,
Faith,
sorry,
Faith
who
won the
won?
challenge. Yeah. Faith
Faith
won the
won the
sorry, okay,
challenge.
so
Yeah.
switch those two names with everything I just said. So yeah, if Faith won the challenge, then imagine. So wait, Omar would vote Kyle, Kyle would vote Sage, Sage would vote Omar. That's a 1-1-1, and Faith picks who goes.
Yeah.
And that I mean, realistically, she'd probably pick Omar, but then again, that whole has all that questions now onto her. Like, is this the move? Should I get out Kyle now? Should I get out Sage now? What's going to guarantee me the win? Because it's not a team game, especially when it's a final two. It's not a 3-team game. It's a 2-team game.
Mhm. Actually, I wonder what are the odds that Faith would take a shot at Kyle? The whole first half of the episode is her trying to differentiate her game from Kyle. And I mean, you have the chance to take him out of the game. I
Yeah.
mean,
I think that would have been the move,
you think?
honestly. Because Sage and Omar would never bring each other to the final two. So, based on everything we've heard with their relationship.
You think there was no safety with that power? She actually had a vote. You think she would have put it on Kyle?
No. I
Well,
think
if there was a
Saying
1-1-1.
1-1-1, the safety
Oh,
without
in that
power
tie
vote.
situation. Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah.
But if she did have a vote, that's actually another good question. If the challenge went a different way, say Omar won immunity, how would Bub or Free cannibalize each other in the moment?
Yeah, and
That's a very good question.
I think
Very.
too, it's again, it all comes back to relationships. Because I mean, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but from talking with Kyle, post season production and everything, it seemed like, without spoilers, this season, friendships and alliances, they went a little bit more like deeper in terms of like people like being friends with each other than season one did. Now, I'm not saying that you guys weren't friends on your alliance, but Logan, just to quote you from your finale speech, you said, if I had those two votes, I'd write Matt's name down twice in a heartbeat. So it seemed like, but then again, Matt, I don't think you seem too offended because you're like, that it's the game. But it
Yeah.
felt like, if Faith would have done that, like took a move at Kyle, took a move at Sage, I feel like really the personal relationships between both of them was really that like resistance that made her, because from an outside perspective, it's almost like do it. Like, and I'm number one Kyle Glazer on the planet. Like, but Kyle's been making moves this whole game, and this would be the perfect time to take him out.
All right, Adam, after Omar was voted out, you got your little moment. We brought you on screen. You shook his hand and you gave a little monologue. Can you talk about that moment? How did that feel for you to say goodbye to your last your Tropper member, but also you got to shine on camera?
Well, I mean, I'll start with the fact that I wasn't exactly attached to any contestants on the season. Once again, we weren't there for production. It was all kind of the moral victory or moral loss in this case. So honestly, the coolest thing for me was just, trying to end the circles back to the beginning, being able to say I was on camera because admittedly, season one, Peter was the host. I was the main producer, also the main camera guy. You guys know that as competitors. I had to take care of all the logistics behind the scenes. So I was only in like the first scene in episode one when we announced the tribes, and in the background of like two other scenes just inadvertently. So I really didn't have as much camera time as you would expect. So if anything, it was nice to kind of just solidify that I actually am a real character and not just a name. That part's always nice. But in all honesty, I'm trying to circle back to what I said before. In a weird way, it's surreal that it's not mine anymore, but I still get a little bit of a say. I still get to see it all play out. But at the same time, it didn't feel as different or as gratifying as you'd think. And that's not because Petropa Tribe went out. It just felt like, another moment of closure, another moment where I could kind of move on and just, you guys named the episode after me. I appreciate it. I was in it anyway, but it's just another funny, just a cool fun fact, I guess, at the end of the day.
I have to ask, since he got a concession speech, do I get a victory speech for the being a slattery?
Of course, he's
Just
gonna
kidding,
do it
just-
right now.
just kidding. Yeah.
You can send a video. We'll edit
So
it.
that's the other
into
thing
finale.
too. That's the other thing. Peter, I didn't know we didn't know Peter was going to announce the safety without power. So this is some post production here. And once I found out Peter was getting back on screen, I was like, okay, we're like once I figured out Omar was going, I'm like, okay, you guys are putting me on screen whether you like it or not. It wasn't.
No,
Even
that was totally justified. Like, and I guess this isn't spoilers, but don't worry. I do not think we're going to be making cameos in season 3. So don't worry.
Well, considering we
you're
were
tired
at
of
two
seeing our
shoots and not on
faces.
camera for anything, I can guarantee we won't be making any appearances in season 3.
So don't worry. Peter and Adam proof. Hope. We'll see. Yeah.
We'll find a way to sneak you guys into
mention,
season
but
3.
the lore could be there. Don't worry. But if you want to see our beautiful faces, you got to watch this or season 1.
One thing I think this would not be good if we didn't mention Max Rubin at least once in this pod. Unfortunately, we couldn't get Max here with us. I wish we got him here. But you guys were on the e-board with Max for season 1, and then Max took over for season 2. So is there anything that you saw while you were there during the production that you really were like, yeah, like this screams Max Rubin? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a great idea.
100%. And really, it was just the way things were organized because Max had that film production experience. He did that. I believe it was going to be his major at one point too. So he took a couple classes, and just seeing that expertise on top of what we did in season 1, kind of perfecting it. Like I noticed he had a system that seemed like it was like perfectly smooth and just operated like clockwork. And me and Peter, we obviously filmed a couple confessionals, like we were able to fit into that equation a little bit just so we had something to do. But that's where I get to the point where you guys knew what you were doing. And I think a big part of that was his experience, because don't get me wrong, both of you and Kevin, you were there for season 1, but you didn't necessarily know the production. And at that point, you were probably still learning on the fly. So I think it was experience and kind of a know-how over anything. And yeah, Peter.
Yeah, I really overall, I mean, I think me, Adam, and Max, we're just, three peas in a pod. Whenever you're working with a team, it's important that you have, you're almost opposites in a sense. You complement each other with your skills. Like Adam said there, Max was very organized, and I think throughout season one, he kept us on beat, and I could totally, totally see that through season two. And then, me and Adam, I was more of, like the host, the in front of the camera personality, and Adam ran all the behind the scenes, like sending emails and everything. So really working with him was awesome, and he was really the key piece that we needed. Because without him, I mean, I don't know how far we would have gotten. But
I mean,
in
we
terms of
we wouldn't have even gotten anywhere. We technically needed three people on an e-board to start a club, and at first it was just me and Peter. We literally did not have a third person until we had Max.
Yeah, but in terms of season two, exactly like Adam said, the structures were there, and I remember talking to you, Adam, afterward, being like, it felt like they knew what they were doing. Like they roughed out all the feathers were ruffled, all the wrinkles were ironed. It was just a straight production. You knew what you were doing. The contestants, even though there were twists and stuff, it was smooth. It went great. So just seeing Max take charge as president and kind of like I guess you would say like producer, main producer. It was really cool to see. It was really cool to see.
Yeah, and Max didn't was unable to make it to a couple shoots towards the end of the season, but his system, as you guys were talking about, like me, Logan, and Kevin were able to follow it like through and through. Like we still modeled our sessions after how Max did his, and it was very efficient. And one thing I personally want to give Max credit for is how he handles the footage because I'm struggling to get the footage for season three. No shade to our camera people, but I'm still struggling to get the footage, and he was able to get them all within like a day or 2 days of the filming, and I'm still missing good amount of episodes. So if you're
In
season
your
three,
defense, there's
yeah,
more people filming this time, so
this is very true, and a lot more episodes. I think this season two was what like we're at 6 or 7
7
episodes.
I
episodes.
knew that was coming.
That was an accident, but season
Yes.
three right now, if we're not doing doubles, which we definitely will, we're at like 13 or 14 episodes, which is
Wow.
insane.
I
Yeah.
mean,
So,
even if you try to consolidate it, you could still have 10 easily.
so
Do a
yeah.
twist where four people go home in season four because it's season four. The first episode, four
Right.
people go home. I'm sure that would be awesome for the Survivor fans.
That'd be very well
Oh.
received.
But yeah, I want to give Max his flowers. I
Absolutely.
definitely want to get Max on for a pod. Whether we have one more episode with the final three or two more episodes where we do like a winner interview, definitely need to get Max on this pod. At the end of the day,
For
like
sure.
this was his season. He came up with nowhere to hide. It was his idea. He came up with like the tribe layout, like the logo, the twit, like a lot of it is accredited to Max, the majority. So we got to get Max on. Max, you're appreciated. You're loved. Thank you for everything you've done for season two. We're going to get you on this pod. But before we do anything else, before we kind of wrap up, is there anything anyone wanted to talk about before we start wrapping things up and before you guys plug your projects? Anything? No?
Honestly, best of luck to the season two. I mean, I know what happens, obviously, but for the people watching at home, it's crazy finale. I really do think it's gonna be a crazy finale. You're gonna be on the edge of your seat. Who knows what's gonna happen? So best of luck to them, and best of luck to you guys, I guess, for the e-board too, for planning season four is being planned, and that's
And
crazy.
once again, to reiterate, join the club if you are watching and not already affiliated. First off, I don't know who, like, if you just find this, I mean, let's be honest, most of the people watching will be affiliated with the club. But if there is anyone new that's interested, you want to join.
Mhm. All right, yeah. So with that being said, who wants to go first? Who wants to plug? It's Plug Central.
Peter, do you have a preference?
You can go first.
I mean, mine's not as relevant necessarily to the club, so it's probably good for me to go first. So, as I've mentioned a bunch of times, maybe on the pod in season one, that so when we started all this, it was my last semester. I graduated in December. I technically, by the time we were done filming season one, wasn't even a student anymore. I was just taking a gap semester. But my plan going forward for that next year, while you guys were filming season two, I even mentioned it earlier in the episode, I was at Columbia doing my master's sport management. That's only a year and a half program. So thankfully, I can say I graduated as of December, which is really cool. But at the same time, my one other passion project, and it still has ties to Rutgers, ironically, and Matt can attest to activist because a couple weeks ago I was going out of a radio station on College Ave. That was the weekend for the Super Bowl, season 3. I was there, and you'll see where I'm going with this. I was going out of a radio station from the student center. I run into Matt. He's just on his phone, on his earbuds, completely locked in. I see him. I tap him on the shoulder. I haven't seen this kid in like a month or two at this point, probably like a month. And he just has the biggest jolt, like he had no clue who it was, and then he realizes, which was funny. But point is, WRSU 88.7. And if you also remember, that was season 1, episode 1 trivia. That was the last question in the trivia, thanks to yours truly, because I'm a part of WRSU Radio. My show, Motorsports Today. So I imagine most people watching this do not give a you-know-what about racing of any kind. But if you give a you-know-what about Adam Tropper and his endeavors, you will look up Motorsports Today on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Twitter, on Spotify. We are a full radio show airs on WRSU, a full podcast that uploads everything to YouTube and Spotify, and we have on-site track coverage. I have a colleague who is there at the track right now in Atlanta covering NASCAR races. I've been fortunate enough to do some of my own too. And don't get me wrong, I'm looking for a full-time job. I'm less than 2 months out of grad school. So right now, Motorsports Today is more of a free-form passion project as opposed to anything. But, why not plug it? Motorsports Today.
Yeah, I guess it's my turn. So to kind of stick in the vein of reality TV, me and Matt are currently working on a little video series project about a it's unfortunate to say, little known reality show called Whodunit. I know, Logan, we were talking about this a little bit before the show, but this aired back in 2013 on ABC. It was like Sundays at 9 p.m. And this was, a cool murder mystery, come to life type of reality competition show. So right now, me and Matt, I made like a little YouTube video about it, about 6 or 7 minutes. And me and Matt are working on podcast episodes right now. So, still keeping that podcast host, nature alive. And episode 1's already out. Episode 2 is coming out soon. So yeah, if you're a fan of the show or you remember it, you want to learn more about it, just search up ABC Whodunit, remembering ABC Whodunit. And yeah, it's great. I love working on this, and hopefully it'll be a good project. And Matt, I'm looking very much forward to having you more on those podcasts. So thank you.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love the show just as much as you, and I hope that we can keep spreading the love of that show to people that loved it in the past or people that are just learning about it for the first time. But Logan, is there anything you have anything to plug? Even maybe your Instagram, anything?
Yeah, exactly. You can follow me at Logan on Instagram. I post like travel updates. I'm hopefully going to go on more vacations this year, post some more. So no other projects in the works right now, but stay tuned. If there's any place I'll announce it, it's on this podcast.
All right. Yeah. Well, everyone's links, everything's going to be in the description. So please check that out. But if everyone's good, I'm all good. Thank you all for joining for this episode of On the Raritan. We will see you guys on the next episode of On the Raritan, where we will talk about the season finale of Rutgers Survivor, Nowhere to Hide. I'm Matt DeGennaro. I'm joined here with Logan, Adam, and Peter. Signing off. Have a good night, everyone, and we'll see you guys next time. Survivors ready?